Joining me in the studio is political analyst TK Pue, economist Lumkile Mondi, and communications specialist Makosini Ngitiwa. Thank you very much, all three of you, for joining us. So, a lot of heated passion there, scuffle for the smallest but the most important province. Who do you think pulled the best punches tonight, TK Pue?
I would say none of them if you had to look at substance, but I'd have to go with, I think, the EFF.
I mean, really. We were scrambling to get strong sound bites, I have to say.
But I'd have to say, I think is it the chairperson of the EFF in Gauteng, I think she came across quite clearly. And then I'd have to say Mr. Ghana also came across very strongly, and especially in his retort to what the ANC is proclaiming about how they govern in certain metros.
Yes, it seemed that the ANC was floundering there.
Yes, I think for me, the election is supposed to be about the economy and jobs. That's what people are concerned about on the ground. And I think the EFF has cleverly put its own issues that make it look good, like the issue of land and others. But insofar as jobs and the economy and SMMEs, which have experienced a bloodbath in the past 5 years, notwithstanding the fact that there's now a Ministry of Small Business Development, it's like that ministry came to destroy SMMEs, actually. And I would have wanted those issues to be fully ventilated and not what we ended up seeing. I mean, having the debate disrupted by a party that got 0.44%, number 9. And if you look at what was supposed, I mean, if you look post the election, formation of a government, you look at the parties that may lead a coalition or that may be king or queen makers. The UDM is nowhere near that. So I think it was unfortunate that what should have been a debate about the economy, about SMMEs, about jobs, ended up now we're talking about the UDM.
Yes, it was sort of stolen away from them for a moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it should be understood also what Makosini is saying in terms of the exclusion of participation of black people historically, that there is no knowledge, broadly speaking, particularly in the leadership of political parties, of business people, of people that have grown up in an entrepreneurial family and therefore understand because their fathers or their sisters have gone through economic activity where they're trying to make ends meet. So a number of black people generally, even at national level, you see how the ANC has managed the economy. It clearly shows that, the fact that there's been a history of exclusion of participation and the fact that business continues to thrive and the ANC continues to be political, so there's a gap between the politics and the economics. It continues playing itself, and hence the economy is always slogans and policies, but the implementation is not there because there's no knowledge, there's no capability because of the history.
Okay, we are going to pull up the debate and what was said by each party on the economy and bringing jobs. And while we are looking for that bite, I'm just going to ask you about what the EFF said about procurement in malls, that the business should go to black people and it should go to women. I mean, is that something that you think will help resuscitate the economy?
Well, procurement in South Africa today is a bad word. It's a bad word because it's one of the causes of state capture, where that opportunity gets captured by those that are politically connected. So we need to look ways. I think this is time for us, if we're going to really ensure that there's inclusion in the economy, to look at new ways as to how to integrate black people into economic participation. Because procurement is a disaster. BE has been handled very poorly. So therefore, those of BE procurement are really the concoction that have led to state capture, and really many businesses not willing to invest in South Africa because they're not so sure how they can give a piece of the pie with people that have not put their skin in the game.
All right, we're going to go back to jobs and the economy a little bit later on, but let's talk about another contentious issue. The party has been given land to the poor through the rapid release of land. This is what the ANC said.
One of the primary and underlying conflict in this country is the ownership of property, land included. So what we are saying is that, and province has already started the process of rapid land release. So we give land into the hands of the poor so that they are able to create new asset classes, they are able to leverage that to get access to the banks, and they are able to grow the economy.
EFF lashed out at the ANC for lying about releasing land at a rapid pace.
But I wanted to put on record very clearly that the African National Congress must not say that they are already distributing land, because we cannot lie to ourselves. There is no such a thing as rapid land release program. I am in the legislature with Makura and Uhuru. They have been talking about rapid land release. Show me one person here who has benefited from rapid land release.
Seems the TK that the ANC scored its own goal there.
Well, I think it speaks to, look, this is not new when it comes to the issue of land. Even the concept of saying, I think the issue of saying, look, you get land and then you can collateralize. It doesn't even speak about what if the value of the land is actually not, you're not able to actually collateralize it. So it really does speak to the fact that, listen, when it comes to the issue of land, the ANC has been found wanting not just in these last 5 years, in fact, for the last 25 years. And also, I mean, it's good for the EFF to raise that point, but I think as Mr. Lumkile was saying, that there needs to be a broader discussion of, okay, what do we actually mean by land for an investor? Because if I was just sitting, maybe if I was in London, if I was in New York, and I wanted to invest, and I'm hearing land, it actually becomes very confusing. So whose land are you actually speaking about? So I think there's been such a poor lack of leadership all around. This is not an issue where it's the ANC all around, and how do we actually get to the table? Let's actually be specific. Instead of raising people's hopes when we just say you're going to get free land, while we're going to actually put it's almost like a demand of saying, if you do get land, how are you actually going to contribute to the economy? Because you might find, look, I might just want to get land for the fact of, look, it's a historical injustice. It will make me feel better. Then what happens to the situation if I was taking land which was economical? I think we just actually need adults to come to the table to actually decide, listen, when we say land, what is it exactly we're speaking about? And how is it going to take South Africa forward in the next 25 years? And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of adults in this table. What we tend to have is, as I think the two panelists were saying, is I say a big word, you come back, it makes a crowd happy, but when people's lives, I'm talking about what happens after the 9th of May, is actually constituted properly, they're going to say, listen, nothing has really happened post what you guys were saying. And I think...
I mean, the comms around land and also BEE are pretty bad, aren't they? I mean, Cyril Ramaphosa should come out and be a little bit more explicit about what exactly is going to happen. I mean, you raise real fears there. And I know there's a feeling among some parties that it doesn't matter what overseas investors think, but it does.
Look, I think, when it comes to the issue of land, I think what is important for me is that if you look at what happens in rural areas, in the areas that are under, for instance, the Ingonyama Trust, you can go to a chief and he allocates land for you, and you can have a few cattle, goats and all that. At least you're not going to buy milk, you're not going to buy eggs and all those things. So there's some sort of subsistence farming that takes place. So if you look at areas like Johannesburg, if you're unemployed, you don't have any means to produce even the smallest food that you can consume. So there is that issue of land which is very legitimate, but I think sometimes it is used as a distraction away from the issues that political parties cannot really deal with. If you're talking about SMMEs, for instance, that there's support for SMMEs, I deal with SMMEs in the townships. I've yet to meet one SMME owner or entrepreneur that has received any support from the government. And yet we hear a lot of propaganda coming out, people said to be supporting SMMEs, and that you don't see it on the ground. So I think that what is a missed opportunity with this particular debate and all the debates that we've had is that we haven't had a cogent discussion really about how we are going to grow the economy, how are we going to support SMMEs, and how are we going to create jobs. Because it's the SMMEs that are going to create jobs. And you're not hearing anything being said about it. In fact, I think what happens on the ground is that money that is allocated for SMMEs, that's the money that gets stolen.
That's a lot of money lost to the province, isn't it?
Well, in fact, I mean, one of the areas that I think the policymakers have missed is the integration of economic thought into the broader masses of our people. Remember that, Jane, during the process leading to 1994, there was extensive consultation around the reconstruction and development program. And we managed to inculcate some economic knowledge then. I think once they deployed cadres of the ANC to government, went into power, they all forgot about the mandate of implementing some of those programs. As a result, what has happened is that the economic debate, economic discussion has become an elite discussion and extremely exclude the majority of the people. And in the process, policymakers keep on coming with policies which are very, very blunt, which fail to address the key issues.
All right, lots to still talk about, and obviously it's always the economy that everyone's worried about and how it's going to impact these elections, their pockets or not. And we're going to take a short break, and we're going to get onto that straight after the break.